Hello, Dan.
Good evening, Steph.
How are you, love?
I'm not too bad at all. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm good. It's cold.
It's been, yeah, bitter, as they say. It's black ice everywhere, and yeah, people falling arse
Yeah.
over it. And yeah, it's that time of year when no one wants to leave the house because they're worried about making a twat of themselves by falling over. It's all good.
As I nearly did today.
Yeah, I took the dog for. I tried to take the dog for a walk this morning. We got about 50 yards, and by that point, I said literally, I'd nearly gone over about 3 or 4 times. So the poor dog was giving me evils this morning after having a
Yeah.
said 3 minute walk.
Brilliant. I love it.
Hey
Well,
ho.
look, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. As I said we've had a
Yeah.
little break since we last recorded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did.
Christmas has come and gone, and I
It
said
has.
we had a good
Yeah,
one,
it has.
and we're sort of
Yeah,
early
yeah.
part of 2026 now.
I know. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it, that we're here now?
Uh,
And we've spent some time together, haven't we? Talking about your journey with meditation, the experience that you've had and how you've shared that with the audience that
yeah,
we hope will listen back to this and how it's been both, had the highs and the lows and the pros and the cons and the benefits that you've really felt. And I think that, yeah, today would be like really, I think, useful for those that have maybe followed this journey with you just to maybe hear a bit more from you with regards to, I guess, so what's next? We've got to this point where we've really understood your journey, why you started it in the first place,
yeah,
how it's affected you, what the experience has been like, how it's benefited you. But I guess, we've talked about this a couple of times in the meditation and mindfulness, particularly. It's a life thing. It's not a fad. It's not a fix.
yeah.
Yeah, what's next for
It's
you?
it's
What's
there
your
forever.
kind
It's
of,
there forever for me. I mean, for me, it's just carrying on practicing. Really,
is
it's
it?
like you said. It's for me. It's like for me. This is like a sport. This is like anything else you do in life. It's gonna be there forever. And to stay good at it or to get better at it, you have to say, keep practicing. Like I say, it makes perfect. And yeah, for me, it'll be said just keep trying, keep exploring more avenues into the world of meditation and mindfulness. But yeah, so it's definitely kind of something that is now with me forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, just want to, with the help of the likes of yourself and other people, hopefully, as I said, keep getting bigger, stronger, and better at keeping my mind and body healthy.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. And obviously, yeah, you just talked a bit about, where you might go for those resources and that support. And in the previous recordings that we've done, you talked quite a lot about how you've been leaning into material like the Dan Penman, Mark Williams, Frantic World work.
Yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to look at any other resources since we've been doing this
No, in
podcast?
all honesty, I said I think from where I've got myself to using what I've used, I feel to me like I said, it's what I'm leaning on, and
Yeah.
it's to me, it's become the norm for me. So I'm very much practicing and sticking what I'm used to at the moment. Like I said, you've sent me a few kind of YouTube links to others, which I'm now.
Yeah, good.
There's a guy called Chibs who's got a decent YouTube channel, so I've starting my day watching one of his videos. He does a very good kind of grateful gratitude meditation, which I
Nice.
do every day. But I'll focus my kind of gratitude towards different various things in my life and various people in my life. I said one of the big ones is always like using your senses and stuff like that. So yeah, in regards to, I said it's things like that that I want to kind of put a bit more emphasis on going forward, and
Yeah.
as I said, try and still try and increase my levels of compassion and empathy and happiness and well-being and stuff. Yeah, so in regards to that, I said the world is still very much my oyster in regards to learning.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Do you get any like sense of concern around that? I mean, have you got any fears or concerns around, I guess, let's be fair, right? In day-to-day moment experiences, um, I guess that many of us will either experience it, will know exactly what I'm talking about. This will resonate with them immediately,
Yeah,
or it's something that's happened in the past where we get caught up in thought about the what ifs. Like, what if this doesn't work for me anymore? Or what if I can't do it? Or what if something changes in my life? Or what if I can't find another meditation teacher that I feel I can connect with. What comes up for you around like fears or concerns about how this journey might continue to unfold?
My biggest one is I'm worried that I will forget that I meditate some days, and I still have days where things go wrong, and I self criticize and I overthink still, and then I suddenly realise, hold on, I can sort this out myself by doing a meditation, doing a quick practice. So yeah, that's my it's it's not I shouldn't feel this way, but I have days where I kind of forget that I have the skills now to overcome certain aspects of my life that aren't so great. I said sometimes at work, or might be at home, or might just be, I said, any general life bits and pieces. As I said,
Yeah,
that's my one fear, is that I will kind of wake up one day and almost forget that I meditate, and that I am mindful of what's going on. So yeah, for me, and I don't want to ever slip back into old habits of, the old kind of procrastination and overthinking and trying too hard to overcome problems. Like that's the whole point of meditation and mindfulness, is sometimes the best way to to escape, or to solve your problems, so to speak, is by doing nothing at all, which is kind of like the massive one. And that's where the overthinking comes in. I said sometimes I still have days or moments or triggers that I start overthinking, and as I said, the self criticism comes back in, and then all of a sudden I remember that I don't need to do this anymore. Like, I can just be kind to myself and be curious. So that's the key to it for me now, is the curiosity and the kindness, and think, why do I feel like this, and really focus on the feelings, both mentally and physically. And yeah, as I said, that for me is kind of where I'm at now, really.
that's beautiful. It's really weird because I'm listening to you and like creating that space there between us for you to just really explain what that means for you, right? So the question was around, have you got any fear or concerns? And you're kind of sensing that the message that I'm hearing actually is that there's this sense of waking up one day, and just to be really clear for people that are watching or listening, you'll wake up one day, and when you say forget that you meditate, for everybody listening and watching, what we really are talking about here is what you learn through meditating.
Hmm.
And it's what's interesting is that I actually just spoke about this morning on a separate channel, on a separate podcast. And the connection here is around the understanding that meditation helps us to create, it supports and it helps us to foster a deeper sense of awareness. And when we're able to develop and nurture a deeper sense of awareness through meditation, that then becomes something that we're able to do in our day-to-day being, just being awake and living our lives.
Right, yeah.
And if we're able to be more aware in our day-to-day lives outside of the meditation, then in that awareness, we're also then able to take back control gently, right? Regain control to an extent where um, we don't cause ourselves our own suffering, so we don't
Yeah,
get
it's
in the way of ourselves. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind
100%.
of what you're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that you don't want to wake up tomorrow, something happens because you forgot, oh, I've got the tools and I've got the techniques and I've got the skills in my back pocket. I need to lean into them. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it's still it's just remembering to use it. It's said, and it's the fear of, I said, going back into my old habits, and it's rough, like we all creatures of habit. And I said, it's like, and now I just smile a lot when I get these feelings, and I'm like, what, I'm not, why, I don't need to worry anymore, like, I don't need to. But I think for some of us, those are people that have probably suffered from, anxiety, depression, overthinking, your brain almost, for me, becomes the baseline. So that's how it feels comfortable. So I think there are days where it's kind of, I feel like I'm trying to trip myself up still by
Yeah.
being depressed and anxious, and it's like, oh, it's a bit like probably giving up. It's like I'm giving up smoking. There's days still where you get the odd pang of, I could really do a cigarette. Like, I haven't smoked for 5 6 years probably, but every now and then you have that, and it's very much the same with depression, anxiety. Your brain has kind of said it's been in that comfort. It's almost a comfort zone for it for that long, that now I'm at peace and now I'm happy. It's still there, but it's it's
Yeah.
it's trying to come back out, but it's now said, I don't need to fear it anymore as much as I would have done, or I said, I now have the ability to see it for what it is. And I said,
Yeah.
when you're living in the present, you're like I said before, you're very rarely in any danger. There's when you actually said just use your senses and you look around you and you're aware. I said there's much more beauty than there is suffering going on. And I said if you can just harness that on a regular basis, you'll be doing all right. Which is where I'm
Yeah.
at, where I'm at now, really. And like I said,
Yeah.
there are times where I do still wake up feeling anxious, but I know how to deal with it now, and I know what it is. I know it's just, I said, a lot of it again. That's routine and habit, and it's my feelings I get in my body that are triggering feelings in my brain, and I can see it for what it is. And if I just settle into it and I relax and I analyze it and I see it for what it is, it just dissipates, and I can said just get on with my life
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
moment,
Wonderful.
in the moment as well, rather than said looking too far ahead or worrying
Yeah.
about the past. It's just, I said, the only time we can live is right now, Steph. And I said, and that's what this is all about for me. And that is what you're doing. When we say about practicing, this is, as I said, just saying to people, you've got to be more present. It's easier. It's a lot easier said than done. I said, and this is why we do meditate every day, twice a day. We meditate hundreds of times a day. I do now. Like I said, I've said before, I'm constantly checking in with myself. I said, and it's something that I do on a regular basis, and it just keeps me. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me present, and it means I can concentrate on whatever it is I'm doing at the time, and I don't have to. As I said, I don't have to worry about yesterday, and I'm not going to think too hard about what's going on tomorrow.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. So really beautifully put. It reminds me of what everything you've just said as well. It kind of what's really kind of arising, I guess, as you're speaking, is that actually that is exactly what meditation or mindfulness-based meditation is about, right? That's the reason, the rationale, the science, I guess, behind why we would do it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of what we talked to earlier. We meditate so we become more aware. And if we become more aware, then we are far more likely to be in control of our
and that's it. And
position, right?
the,
In
the
the
only
present moment,
That's it.
right?
The only time you
And
can
if
live is
we're,
now. It's the only
yeah,
time you can live is right now. It's the only
yeah,
said, and that's what this does. It makes you aware of that, and it makes you appreciate that. And I said, you have little tricks now. I have little tricks. We can all use little tricks to make sure we're doing that more regularly, and
yeah,
that's what this has done for me. And there is, like I said, that's why the breathing's important because, like I said, the breath is the only thing that is you can't take a breath for tomorrow. You can't take a breath for yesterday. The only time you can breathe is now, and that's why that is so prevalent with meditation, and that's why that is like the basics of meditation is your breath because that's what's going on. The same with your senses generally; they always keep you in the here and now.
yeah, very much so. The senses, the body, can really keep us to help us to remain present for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I really get it. And it's really what you're saying is really resonating. And there was one little moment where you said, you meditate in the morning, you meditate in the evening. Actually, you said, I meditate hundreds of times a day because I am always checking in on myself.
yeah, yeah.
And I just want to just really bring that up to the level it deserves because that's exactly what we're talking about when we consider what it's like to be fully aware, fully present, fully here. Because if we're fully aware, fully present, fully here, it's a safe space to be.
hundred
We're not in
percent.
the past,
No,
worrying about the before, and we're not ruminating or worried about the future. We're right here, we're right present, and we are owning our space. We're owning who we are, we're in control. We can take care of ourselves and make sure that we don't suffer as a result of not being present, I guess. Yeah,
that 100% right. Exactly.
yeah. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
I wonder, yeah, when I asked earlier about, what concerns have you got, what fears have you got? I'm wondering, I'm wondering about external pressures, right? So, and I'm just going to be really clear on this. So, we live in a really modern world where both micro pressures, aggressions, challenges, difficulties. And when I'm talking about micro, I'm talking about the things that we have to do every day, like the
Yep,
responsibilities that we have, family, work, home,
yep,
children, pets, parents, caring, all of those things. So at a micro level, um, where do you feel there may be outside influences, let's say, that could have a cause or effect on your desire to carry on forward with this way of living, this way of life.
Well, I
Do
said,
you get a sense of that at all in terms of
I,
external
but
pressures?
for me, external. My biggest thing probably is we touched on this, I think, before, is things like social media, things
Yeah,
like the mainstream media. Like I try and avoid. I don't do any social media anymore. I don't need those, like you said, those outside influences on my life and my lifestyle. Really, like I said, I spent too much of my life on my phone, on my said checking on social media, and like probably a lot of people, when you had a bad day, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, you go on whatever, and you want to have a row with someone over something innocuous because you had a bad day, and that again, that just keeps you in that mindset of being wound up and being aggressive and watching harmful material online. And like I said, I used to be on Twitter all the time, and you'd see all these videos of beheadings and suicides and all that sort of stuff that's just free to watch. And I don't have any of that kind of. I said I don't look at the internet now. I said if I want to keep in touch with my friends and family, I would do it. I'll go and see them now. I will text them. I'll ring them. I'll arrange to meet them. And I said I think probably for me that's half the reason I'm in a better headspace anyway, is because I don't. I said, like we said before, the Western world is full of, like I said, people that you want to be comparing yourself to, and that's what
yeah,
drags you down to that level of I feel worthless and I feel useless and I feel crap because everyone else is doing so well on the outside, and I said they're all struggling as well, and now the world that I see is kind of most of the world I see is the world I choose to see, because it's I'm kind of in charge of my own destiny in regards to my social life and work, who I have meetings with, or who I engage with. So as I said, that is kind of my life now in a nutshell. There's
yeah,
plenty of other ways of protecting your mental health. And I think a big one for me is talking, like talk to people. Like the bravest thing anyone can do is ask for help. Like if you, and this is kind of where I'm at now in life. I want to help people. I'd like people to speak to me and say, Dan, I've got problems. Like, can you guide me? Can you help me? Like I said, it's what I want to do in life. Going forward, not necessarily just professionally, just in life. I said, on the flip side, it's hard to do without social media, but I said that is what it is, and I kind of have to overcome that some other way. But like I said, externally, there's no, I've cut out a lot of stuff in my life that will add to my pressures, so I can be happier and I can be a better human being all round, I think.
yeah, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it kind of there's a couple of things that are arising within what you just said. So there's like that often we might see external micro level pressures as being, the way that other people put pressure on us to, for instance, oh, you haven't stopped drinking, have you? Don't be boring. Like, come and have a drink down the pub. You're not going to be the same. Or,
No, yeah,
yeah, oh God, you're not doing that meditation crap, are you? I mean, God, what are you, a hippie or something like
yeah.
that?
I've
So,
got that. I've
so
getting
there's
better. Yeah,
external pressures like that can come from very close circles.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
I think there's external pressures around, actually, for a lot of people, Dan, it can be really difficult to find the time to do a formal sitting meditation practice, where we're carving out 15 minutes once a day or 10 minutes once a day, let alone, 20 minutes twice a day, which is where you're at now. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so so I think people can find that difficult, and then there's other external pressures. And I think it's really interesting that you talked about external pressures actually as being influences from outside of your close
Perhaps
trust
quite
circles,
a bit.
like the internet,
Yeah,
like social media, like um, you know, um, uh, challenging or difficult to watch material that's available online. So, I think it's interesting to kind of hear you talking about that, because it really comes back to, I guess, what we talked about just now, which is this sense of how meditation, when we start to do it, within at least, for the evidence and the science shows that those that meditate, if you meditate for 5 days in a row for 10 to 20 minutes, you will notice the difference by day 5 or 6 in
yeah,
a
yeah,
general, and that's generally speaking. I know that's not everybody's
yeah.
experience.
That's right.
Um, but in doing so, something will shift, even if it's just small. It could be that the senses are heightened. It could be that you're listening is clearer. It might be that you've become much more aware of your own behaviors and the choices that you're making. And then obviously that journey then continues to create curiosity, and that's why a lot of people then want to carry on, right?
That's right.
And I think in everything that you've just said, what's really interesting is it just loops back to what we were talking about earlier, is that when we meditate, we're deepening a sense of awareness. And by deepening that sense of awareness, we start to become much more in tune to who we're being as a person and how that's affecting our thinking modes, our feeling modes, and our physical modes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's why we can make the choices and make the changes that help us to feel more supported
Well, that's
and
right. Well,
less suffering, let's say.
I'll give you one little story, one little kind
Yeah,
of.
good. Oh, Joe, I
I
was
had,
going to ask you. I was going to say,
I
have you
had,
got an example?
I met a friend of mine a few months ago with a couple of, sitting in a couple of beers. I didn't, and I sort of talked about the podcast and where I was going with it, and kind of, what I've been through and what I'm doing, and he sort of laughed it off to start with, like, but like you said, the hippie stuff and nice one, mate, well done, like whatever, sort of. It's not going to, I don't think it's something for me. Anyway, I texted him at Christmas, just wishing him happy Christmas. I didn't get a reply, and I got a reply on Boxing Day going, I sorry I haven't replied to you. I've kind of, but I don't really use my phone anymore. He said, I'm trying, something you said resonated with me about being more present in my life. And he said, it kind of struck to me how much time I spend on my phone. So it's like Christmas Day, I made it all about my kids and about my family, and I put my phone away. And it was like, see, so it was just a little snippet of, I said, there was someone that had a little bit of doubt in their mind. And then, yeah, I said something that a conversation off the back of a conversation we had, it was like a few months back, it was Christmas Day, come Boxing Day. You get a little bit of feedback from someone who goes, yeah, look, I am trying to be a bit more present. So I said, it is something that is resonating with certainly a few people that I know. And I said, I've mentioned this I've spoken freely to a lot of my friends and family and work colleagues and customers at work and clients. And I said, there's actually, believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are like, well, let us know when the podcast is out. I'd really love to give it a listen. So
Yeah.
as I said, hopefully off the back of this, there'll be one or two other people that might even jump on the bandwagon that can then, as I said, give us a glowing reference as to what this is all about.
Get interested, right? Just get curious, like you said right at the
Yeah.
start. Curiosity is the key to this. Is just get
Mm.
curious, get interested. Don't shove it away.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
I
be
spoke to I
interested
spoke
in it.
to another
What's
another friend of mine who I got to football with. I spoke to them about it, and they said I tried it. I said, but I couldn't do it. I said I tried meditating, and I just my brain just kept thinking and thinking and thinking. And I was like, well, that's the whole point. Like that is
that's the point.
that's what meditation is all about. You start seeing yourself and how that is a prime example of what we do naturally. We just think, we overthink, and that's what meditation does. It's you start paying attention to the fact that you're overthinking and you're thinking. And I said, slowly over time, the more you meditate, the more you spot yourself thinking. And I said, the amount of times now I have it where I said things that used to trigger me, people, I said my football club, stuff on the telly, and I know now it's, oh, you've made me bite, and I kind of laugh at myself. Whereas before, years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have got angry and I would have probably taken it out on my wife or daughter. Now I kind of chuckle to myself and just go, I don't know what's going on here. My brain is trying to trip me up, or the world is trying to trip me up, but it's not a big issue. I said whatever it
Yeah,
is,
it's
very,
so
very
God,
early.
it's brilliant. It's such a brilliant story. I think, I know that we've talked about this already on the pod, but um, do when I hear that, I've tried it, but I can't do it because my thoughts are just too busy. I can't tell you if I had a pound for every person that's told me that,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I'd be a rich woman, to be honest, with all
hundred
the work
percent.
that
Yeah,
I've done over the last 10 years. If somebody said that to you, I've tried it, but I can't do it because my brain is too busy, there's too much going on. What is your response to that? What do you
that's
say?
what I said. That is meditation in action. I said that is the fact that you are seeing the fact that you are overthinking and that you're thinking is putting you on the right path to doing it right. I do 8 minutes most mornings in my ice bath meditation. I still have days where for probably 6 minutes of that I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden I go, shit, I've for a split second I'm almost disappointed in myself, but then straight away I'm like, oh, I know I'm doing it. I know I could have done it sooner probably, but I've noticed the fact that I've drifted off and that
Catch yourself.
you catch yourself daydreaming or you catch yourself, and now I just tell myself, right, you're thinking, and that's back to the breath and back to the senses and
Anchor. Yeah.
back to the meditation, and you sort of start again. And now I said I sort of laugh at myself. Where it's and like I said, for people that are new to it, they'd be frustrated by it because they think that they could, my goal was not to do an 8 minute meditation and not think about anything for 8 minutes, because I can almost tell you that's impossible. It won't happen. But
No.
it's now I'm almost I enjoy catching myself starting to think about things, and I'm like, come on, back to breath, back to, and it might, even over the course of 8 minutes, I'll probably do that 10, 12 times, but
Yeah.
it's for a split second,
Brilliant.
it's for a short amount of time, and then and that's, I said, that's when 2 years ago, whatever that initial thought is would lead into more thoughts, and if it's a negative one, that's when you're in trouble, because you're just, I said, it's the snowball effect of what starts off as a little thought then rolls into, that can then
Yeah.
interconnect to grief, or like I said, suicidal thoughts, or whatever it might be. And it's I said, if you can just catch it early and go back to living for the now and back to just seeing, I said, seeing in the present, you're all right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think not to be missed, but the first story that you told about the guy that you'd had the conversation with, that you then messaged Christmas time and they didn't reply, and their reply was Boxing Day, and their Boxing Day reply was, "Sorry, I didn't reply to you, but actually I really did listen to what you said, and
Yeah,
I was busy being present, right, with my family." I think that it's really important that we don't lose the moment of observation there, that in itself is about self-awareness.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Whether we call it mindfulness or whether we call it meditation, what we're talking about here is awareness. Who am I being in the moment? What choices am I making? How is it making me
Yeah,
think? How is it making me feel? How is it making me respond? And if we're able to nurture some tools and resources and lessons and ways of being around that, all of that is the same as what we're talking about here, helping us to
100%.
feel more supported in the moment and stay
Yeah,
present.
but and you support yourself. And I've developed this thing now where I hold my own hand a lot. And it's almost like, for me, it's me. I now kind of guide myself through life. And it's like I kind of see that as my little anchor now. It's like it's giving myself a bit of love, and it's receiving love. Does that make sense? It's like kind of one hand is just it's like almost like childlike me is now grown up me are kind of meeting together in one. I think that was a lot of my problem. I didn't like being I wasn't ever really ready for adulthood, as you can tell by my toy collection behind me. But I do have a quite a serious job. But as I said, I now sort of receive and give myself kindness, compassion. And one of my things is, I just every now and then I just hold my own hands together and just kind of guide myself through life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And again, you've built that, you've built the mechanisms to be able to help you to do that for yourself.
Yeah, one hundred
Look,
percent.
it's such a beautiful way to finish this final pod. Although I say final, but I'm actually going to say to anybody that's listening to this, until next time, because
Yeah, I
who
think so.
knows? But I want you to just share with us your yeah, your what's in the background here, your passions as well.
Now, this
Because
is my.
people that have been watching this rather than listening to it will be looking behind you going, what the hell is that? Right? So
I
tell us a
can't
bit
even
about
know.
it, Dan.
So right, I've got a major confession to make. I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, so I've got
Yeah.
loads of Doctor Who stuff there on that side. So I've got yoga ball there. There's all my Tottenham Hotspur memorabilia. And this to me is the most important one. This is my. You say about no social media. I now have a physical wall, which is all my nearest and dearest, and my friends and family. And I said, when I'm having a bad day, I just look at them,
Yeah.
and the world is good again.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I
This,
think so many
that's
people would have been curious about what is going on behind you when we've
and
been filming these
that's
pods.
another thing. Another thing I learned was about, look, I would take this room for granted. This is, and now every time I walk in here, I just look around and go, this is my little sort of safe space. And the same with they say that's one thing to do. Like every time you walk into a room, just pay attention to something, and be grateful for something. And I said, your house, your friends, your family, wherever it might be, there's always something you can see, or you can look at, or you can touch or smell that you should be grateful for. And yeah, it's all part of this part of this road I'm on.
Yeah. What a lovely way to finish. Well done, mate. Thank you so much for just sharing this
Yeah,
first
thanks,
kind of
Steph.
part of your journey. I think it's
Yeah,
been really helpful. I hope if it helps one person by listening to these episodes of this pod, that's going to be something.
yeah, yeah.
So you've
And
been
if there's
really,
anyone, if there is anyone that's obviously, like I said, I don't do social media, but if there is anyone that wants to reach out or try and contact me, if they probably obviously once you set this on YouTube or whatever, however it's
they
going
can
out.
comment. Yeah, they
Yeah,
can
yeah,
comment.
they can comment, and as I said, they can obviously get in touch via Steph. But as I said,
Yeah.
I've got time for anyone now that wants to talk about their mental health or just life in general. Just need someone to talk to. It's yeah, as I said, it's like I said, the bravest thing anyone can do is reach out. So feel free
Which
to.
is exactly what you've demonstrated, and exactly what I was going to say is that you've
Yeah,
shown
yeah,
real courage and vulnerability by bringing this story to life for everybody else to hear.
100%.
So thanks so
Never
much,
ever
Dan.
don't suffer in silence. That's all I can say. As I said, there's always
Yeah,
someone out there that will listen.
yeah. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
Until next time, my friend.
Thank you very much, Steph. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Bye.